Hello and welcome to Almost 30.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's your girls coming to you from New York and LA. We're so glad you're here. We have a really fun episode with a fellow podcaster today. But if you're new to Almost 30, welcome. This is a place where, Chris and I actually created this during a time of intense change in our late 20s. And it's just become a really beautiful, fun conversation on a weekly basis to help anyone navigate change. We talk about relationships and spirituality and self-development and health and wellness and the community that's grown, and the movement is what it feels like has been just really, really beautiful. And now we have our book out and the response has been so great and we're so thankful.
Got 5 stars on Amazon. We're cruising. Got a bunch of really positive reviews on Goodreads. And it's been so nice to see you guys. A bunch of people reading the book over the summer and into the fall. And I was just messaging our team. I want to donate some to local libraries. I'm like, I want to donate to local libraries. I would love to donate to colleges. Like, I just want to really get as many books in people's hands. So I'm going to see if we can do that. I've been putting them in the little free libraries around my neighborhood.
Those are the best. They're so freaking
cute.
Sweet. We don't have any, at least in my neighborhood here in Brooklyn. Yeah, I feel like here they'd worry about people. Actually, maybe there is one. They're in like quieter parts of the neighborhood because otherwise you get like food in there. Otherwise,
yeah, people would do trade drugs in there. They would leave drugs and pick up drugs in there.
Yeah, this is a Coke book, actually.
Dude, have you ever been? I'm so tired that anything is going to set me off to cry. Have you ever had that?
Oh, absolutely.
No,
what do you mean?
I'm there. So we just started recording, Lindsay and I was hearing an echo, and I had to find my headphones, and it's making me want to cry right now because I'm like, I can't take it. You want me to go source headphones because it's echoing? It's going to send me over the edge.
Dude, the mental energy it takes for me to when I'm tired to push myself to do certain things, or I don't even know. Mav's been having a week where sleep has just been, he's been up at 4:30 every day.
Wow.
And I'm like, yo, I'm so impatient. I'm like, I just don't. Sleep is so important is what I want to say, because when I don't have it, I'm not myself. It sucks. I just feel like I'm not measured. I'm not as present. I'm not as patient. It is so annoying. But yes, the crying for sure. I feel like I've done that with Sean and he's like, are you good? And I'm like, no, but yes. I just need to cry.
Yeah. And it's so weird what type of things will send me. I think I get, if I lose something in my house, it sends me. Example, also, I have a camera that I want to use. It's a really nice camera. I got it years ago. For some reason, it's not working and it's sending me. It's tech things. But this weekend, in the past week, I had 4 flight delays. I had forgot my passport somewhere. I got my car towed. And for some reason with that, I'm like, whatever. But there's very specific things that just take me to the edge.
But it's funny. It's interesting because you had all of those things happen and you were very measured throughout. But I wonder if those compounded and you're just kind of
I agree.
I'm done with hard stuff. I kind of want to chill.
I agree. I don't know what it was. So I was on a trip and the original flight got delayed 6 hours. So I flew into this really small airport. All the cars that I reserved, it was too late, so they canceled. I had to get a rental. I got the last rental of the night. She was about to close and leave, thank goodness. So I had to drive an hour and a half, middle of nowhere in this rental, parked the rental at a farmer's market, got the rental towed, and then I forgot my passport for the flight home. So I had to fly back to LA and then get my passport and then fly another flight. So there's 3 flights that day. The flight at the end of the day got pushed back 3 hours. So I was in bed at 2 a.m. for a week, every night. And there's something weird about my sleep too, is I think there's research on this, the rhythms of sleep. But if I'm in bed, I can get to bed from 8 to 9:30 and I'll sleep all the way till 5 a.m. If I go to bed at 2 a.m. and then if I'm up, and I'll be up until 2 a.m. There's something weird about my window where it's I'm really tired from 8 to 10. And then if I stay up past 10, I'll be up until 2. So I was just
Oh,
up
wow.
until 2 all week, and
Oh,
nothing good is happening for me late at that hour. So I'm just like, I don't even, it was just, I was so out of it.
that's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot. Did you feel like you knew why that stuff happened? Meaning,
Yeah, I
like,
do
was there
know.
like okay?
Yeah, I
Because
do
when stuff
know.
like that happens, like in one right after the other, you kind of have to ask, like, okay, what's happening here? Because
Yeah.
it's
I was
just, yeah,
like,
frustrating.
I think the first thing was that there was something that made me want to stay in the place longer. So I think that was that. And then the next place I didn't really want to go. So I was like, kind of like that was like causing the problems. So I was like looking, I was like, okay, God, like I hear you, I see you, I'm noticing what you're showing me, and I'm listening. And
Yeah,
please make this easier.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
But I was doing, I
Well,
made make sure to do my circ walks. So today on the podcast, we have our girl, Liz Moody. So Liz is an incredible journalist. She's an incredible podcast host. She has been someone that has just provided so much helpful, supportive information for millions of people. I love the way that she uses research and science to help people live better lives. And she's just such an incredible interviewer. She's such an incredible interview. I loved having her on our show. We went on her show as well. So you can listen to that episode of her podcast, the Liz Moody Podcast.
yeah, we talked about some really, really interesting concepts and theories. So one of them you just mentioned, the circ walk. Tell us about what that is, because I think it's such
So
a simple way to reset your circadian rhythm and just feel so much better.
yeah, Liz is all about the simple tools and hacks. So one of the things that she does every morning for 10 to 15 minutes with her partner is the circ walk. So it's basically getting outside, having natural light hit your eyes, moving your body, getting fresh air, and really it's setting your circadian rhythm. So in the morning, if you really get that beautiful early morning light, it can be super supportive for you from a mood perspective, from a health and wellness perspective. So that 10 to 15 minute circ walk is just such a great way to start your day. One of my favorite things to do during that time, because I've been doing it ever since she was on the show, is listen to one of the activations. So Activations is an app by Mimi Richard. It's something that we've talked about quite a bit. I just love it. I think I have over 100,000 minutes listened to on the Activations app, but I've been listening to in the morning on my circ walk both the wealth reprogramming morning affirmations, which is like a calming wealth abundance vibe, and then also the positive day affirmations. And so I love activations because it's like active movement sound experiences. It's not like meditation. It's so different. It's for someone that's like on the go that wants to use things as they move. You can habit stack with them. But I really like those too because it feels really nice to be in the sun, to be moving, to be thinking about abundance and wealth, or just having good affirmations be kind of seated into my mind and my subconscious early in the morning.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating, they help to retrain your reticular activating system to filter the world differently than you've been seeing it. So you really start to notice, I would say, like the opportunities and the energy that match what you're calling in. It's been very, very impactful and kind of surprising to me, honestly, how powerful they've been. I've been doing just a very simple but morning gratitude for a positive day. I think we talk about gratitude a lot and how important it is, but I had kind of fallen off the bandwagon of like writing down my gratitudes. So this has really helped me to kind of center around my gratitudes every single morning. But if you're interested in trying activations, we ask them for a special discount for you guys. So if you're curious to try it, this is the link for you that you can type into your browser, not on the app. It's activations.com/almost30. You can also find this link in the description and you'll get an exclusive discount and a 14-day money back guarantee. So it's totally risk-free to see how it works for you. It's really, really easy to incorporate into your everyday. These are things that you can listen to while you're walking, while you're doing laundry, while you're cooking. And it's really, really cool to see how your experience shifts in such a great way. So excited for you to try activations.com/almost30.
So today on the podcast with Liz, we talked about more easy science-backed ways to support your life. We really just brought up the best of some of the things that she shared with her audience, and we dug a little bit deeper on actionable ways you can support yourself in being more happy.
And we also talked about, I just thought it was a really interesting and fascinating conversation about how publicly she was sharing her question of whether she should have kids. So I'm sure
Yeah.
this is a question that a lot of people are, really just grappling with and asking themselves very privately and maybe feel shame around. So I really loved that she was sharing this publicly and just doing her due diligence and research and doing a lot of self-inquiry around it. So we talk about that. We also talk about just her experience with anxiety and just her journey over the years. So yeah, I think you'll love this one. A fellow podcaster, a friend, and we had a blast. So her podcast is the Liz Moody Podcast, and her book is 100 Ways to Change Your Life.
Okay, guys, enjoy this one. And you can also listen to us on the Liz Moody Podcast as well. So you can search Almost 30 Liz Moody to find that episode, and we really appreciate it. And we also know you guys have been reading the book, Almost 30, A Definitive Guide to a Life You Love for the Next Decade and Beyond. And it's been so meaningful to us, all the reviews you've written, all the love you shared on social media. So if you're looking for a book to support you in a time of change and transition, if you're looking to be reminded that you're not behind, you're just becoming, we got you.
We got you. All right. Enjoy this one, and we'll see you on the other side.
We'll see you soon. Love you guys.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Have you ever felt totally overwhelmed trying to figure out what's actually good for your mental health? One day it's you need to cold plunge every morning. The next it's journal before sunrise. And by lunch, you're deleting all your apps because someone said screen time is ruining your life. I know. It's like never ending, honestly. There's so much information out there. And while some of it can be helpful, it can also be paralyzing. That's why talking to a licensed therapist who can actually help you figure out what you need can make all the difference. Therapy has been one of the best decisions of my life. It has helped me understand myself better, learn how to set boundaries without guilt, and navigate life with more intention. And here's the thing, it's not just for when things fall apart. Definitely not. It's really a proactive way to care for your emotional well-being. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform with over 30,000 therapists and more than 5 million people served. Sessions are easy to join with the click of a button. And if you want to try a different therapist, you can switch at any time. They make it super, super easy. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month when they go to betterhelp.com/almost30. That's right. That's for you listening. betterhelp.com/almost30. That's better, HELP.com/almost30. Okay, beef fat on your face. Okay, that sounds a little out there until you try it. I want to talk to you about Primally Pure. And if you know me, you know I'm all about simplifying my skincare routine. The list is long as far as like what I think is contributing to really great skin, both just like bright, glowing, healthy, looking and feeling alive, elastic, all the things. But I've got some products from Primally Pure that I feel like are just the best for my skin. I started using their tallow balm when my skin was freaking out a few months ago. It was like very flaky and red and sensitive. And honestly, this was the first thing that actually worked on my skin, and I was so thankful. Tallow is skin identical, meaning your skin gets it. It's packed with essential fatty acids and fat-soluble vitamins that nourish on a deeper level, nourish better than most of the trendy stuff, to be honest. And I want to talk about their natural deodorant also for a second. Okay. My body loves this one as well. I've tried a lot of deodorants out there, all the clean ones, and this is the only one that actually keeps me feeling fresh all day. It's not just clean on the label, it's clean in your body. I have a list of other products, but I'll share those on my Instagram. Primally Pure is female founded, fully non-toxic, and they make everything from skincare to baby care to home products, all with real raw ingredients that actually do what they say they're going to do. Ugh, I love this brand. I have them all throughout my house, all in my skincare routine, in my shower time routine. I have their candle lit. I wash my hands with their soap. Like I got Primally Pure on lock in the house, and I feel good about it because it's non-toxic. They have incredible scents that are safe for me and my child. Use code almost30 to get 15% off your Primally Pure purchase. That's www.primallypure.com. That's PRIMALLYPURE.com, and use the code almost30 at checkout for 15% off.
I have no idea what we're
I
talking
love
about.
it. We're basically, I want to do like, you're such a wealth. I want to do like your greatest hits.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Everything
No, great. I feel good.
Like, I just,
And this is super conversational. Like, we'll probably
I listen to your guys' podcast.
Do you
I
know what a
mostly
podcast
just
is?
listen when it's just you guys, though. So I probably don't. I'm like, have I listened to a guest episode? But I've listened to it when it's just you guys.
Yeah. Just
insert
talking.
yourself.
So I don't know if you're like really mean to guests or
Honestly. You're like, in 1992, you said on Twitter.
I listened to the on-site one because I went to on-site and like absolutely loved it. And I thought that one was really lovely.
Yeah. What did you?
I was writing about it for Marie Claire back when Marie Claire existed in print, which I don't know if it does anymore.
Yeah.
But I was writing like a big print feature on it. So it was really like, I think I had a good experience. And also I was there very much with like my journalist hat on. So I didn't have like the full experience.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's interesting. That when I do stuff now, I've kind of noticed I have a second agenda sometimes that kind of gets me out of the experience.
Yeah. But there was like a point where like they were rocking me in a blanket and pretending I was in utero. So like I had experience.
Oh my God. I am so weak.
Have you always been curious, or did your job make you this curious about all of these modalities and experiences in the health and wellness space?
So not health and wellness, but in life space, I've always been. I feel like, and then it switched to health and wellness when I had my mental breakdown. Maybe that was my Saturn return.
Probably. How old were you?
Tell us
I was in my
more.
late 20s.
Yeah.
Are we recording?
Yeah, let's run. Yeah, let's rip it.
So in my late 20s, I moved to London. My husband got into graduate school in London, and I had traveled the world at that point. I lived in Amsterdam. I lived in Buenos Aires. I lived in Berlin. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to take to this like a fish to water. We moved out there and I started working on a book. So I didn't get a job, which I really regretted later because that's such a form of built-in community. And London, for me, was a very hard place to build community. It's very, very, very spread out. My husband's school was over an hour away by tube from where we were living, which is very normal in London. So he would call me and say, hey, we're like going to grab a beer after school. And I'd be like, okay, I'll be there in an hour and a half. And by then, everybody's ready to go home. So I couldn't glom onto his community. And slowly, my world just got smaller and smaller and smaller. And I've always tended towards anxiety, but in the absence of community, my anxiety really ramped up. And I started having panic attacks whenever I left the house. And like there was one time I was at a grocery store and I remember I was in the checkout line and I had my cart and I just could not stand there anymore. So I dropped the cart and I left. And that's when I was like, I think this is really bad. This is really serious. There's another time when my husband invited me to watch a rugby game at a pub and I could not. Like I was trying to explain to him how difficult the idea of going to a pub seemed to be to me. And that's also when I was like, I think there's something going on here. And eventually I was having panic attacks whenever I left my bed. My bed felt like it was like the only safe space. I was having multiple panic attacks every day. And that went on for a number of months, this sort of full-blown agoraphobia. And that's when I became interested in health and wellness. I'd had a curiosity about the world before then and experiences and having a really experientially rich life. But that was like, I need to figure out what to do about this because this is not a life I can have.
From a psychological perspective, have you understood what triggered it and what happened?
I think it was the isolation and being up in my head in that way. And then also the way agoraphobia works is if you have a panic attack in public, often you start to become afraid of the panic itself. So the panic kind of triggers a spiral of other panic. And so I think that's what happened for me, where everywhere became an unsafe space for me because everywhere became a space I would have this reaction. Also, we don't need to go into it too much, but when I was 19, I had a seizure when I was traveling by myself in Brazil, and I had PTSD around that. And I think that was kind of creeping out. I'd suppressed it. And that was drug induced. And then it had the space to kind of rear its head a little bit.
How are you in relationship? Because I think a lot of people that struggle with their mental health, whether anxiety or depression, being in relationship with someone that's struggling like that is like so scary for so many reasons. One, you're like, is this ever going to get better? Two, you're like, how do I support? Like, how do I understand? Like, so how did you navigate your relationship during that time?
Yeah, I didn't tell him a lot of what was going on. He was really busy with his graduate program. I think as he became more aware, he became more supportive, and he would ask me like, how can I support you? What's going on? And I really am impressed retrospectively with how he showed up for me. But I don't think he didn't have the tools to know how to show up for me. I didn't have the tools to tell him how to help me. I think we were both just kind of thrashing about in the water and trying to figure out how to swim.
Mm-hmm. What was your first foray into kind of healing this?
Yeah. So I'd been a journalist for over a decade at that point. My first journalism job was when I was a teenager, and I walked into my local newsroom and I said, you should have a column for teenagers and it should be written by me. And
Stop.
Yeah. And so then I wrote that. It was called Out of My Mind, which my dad came up with. He was so proud of it. Such a dad pun of a name.
Such a dad.
And then that ended up being nationally syndicated. So I wrote that for 6 years. I wrote it every single week for 6 years. If I was sick, if I was drunk, if I was traveling, I always got that column out. And it was a real exercise in discipline and what it really means to be a professional writer. And then I worked in editorial all through my 20s. And so the skill set that I had at that point was reaching out to experts, trying to figure out information from different angles. So I was laying in bed. I had my computer like propped up next to me. I was unable really to like leave this position. I'd watch Netflix all day and be like, this could be like a life for me. Like I could live my whole life this way. And I started reaching out to experts. I reached out to like the head of neuroscience at Ivy League universities. I reached out to registered dietitians. I reached out to psychologists, really leading people that I had no business asking these questions of like, what's going on in my brain with anxiety? What caused this? What are different ways that you see people getting out of these types of situations? And one of my life mottos is never be the one to say no to yourself. And this was really a manifestation of that. The idea is that, yes, people in the world can and will say no to you, but you never be the one. You never want to be the one to kind of quench that fire within yourself, to say no to yourself. So I didn't say no to myself. I reached out to all these people. Like 97% said no to me because they're like busy, important people. Why would they reply? But 3% did. And they started to give me little tips and an understanding of what was going on. And then I began to change little things in my life. And very slowly, very, very, very slowly, I started to feel better.
What was your experience with that slowness and like being patient or being in a process? Because we're still living, 10 years ago in like kind of a modern society where things are moving quickly and like we kind of want that instant gratification. So how was that for you?
It was really hard. I felt very behind in my life. I felt like this is not what my life is supposed to look like. I'm supposed to be this professionally successful. I'm supposed to have, I really believed I should have been married to my partner at that point, which I would tell him every single time we got drunk. I'd be like, why haven't you proposed? Which is super attractive.
Such a good way to go.
That.
Yes. Men love,
It really makes them speak
men
up.
love pressure.
It works so
They
well.
love ultimatums. They love pressure.
And I had this whole narrative around where my life should be. And it's so interesting to look back on, because if I had not had that moment, I wouldn't be here. I might be somewhere else. I might be professionally successful in a different way, but that is where I switched into the wellness world and to the foundations that really built my podcast, that built my book career and all of that. So it's trusting the timing of that retrospectively has been a huge lesson for other parts of my life.
That's so much of what we write about in the book, is just that feeling where everyone at some point thinks they're behind in some way. And we're all working towards these arbitrary number goals, that we made when we were younger. Like mine was married at 28, kids by 30 or something, like we met 24, dated 4 years. And then at 28, we're married. And it's just like, where are these numbers coming from? What's the point? What is this whole thing?
Well, and what are we racing toward? That's the key. Right? Like, are we racing towards death?
I know.
Like literally.
Yes.
Like what if life is a race, what is the end of the race? And I want to slow my life down. Like I want to be doing all of it slowly because I'm so aware of how finite it is.
When you had the agoraphobia and that kind of anxiety, like you probably learned a lot about how to manage and deal with anxiety. What are some ways in which people that are listening that maybe don't have agoraphobia but struggle with anxiety can support themselves?
Yes. And I have a lot of episodes of my podcast about this because anxiety has been a theme in my life. And I do also want to say it's not something that I feel like I'm fully over. I'm not bedbound anymore. And I want to be a I want to give hope to somebody else who might be in that place and who can see my big, beautiful life that I've created for myself, because I was looking for that so much when I was in that place. And I want to be very honest and open about the fact that it's still something that I deal with, and it's a lifelong journey for me. Some of the tools that have really helped: one, structure. I think when I'm in the middle of my anxiety, I think getting rid of structure is going to be the thing that's going to help. Like not having a time that I'm going to wake up in the morning so that if I have a hard time sleeping, I'm not working towards like that and being awake in the middle of the night thinking about that. Not having appointments booked or things that I have to be at. But actually the thing that was most helpful in getting over like the final hump with my anxiety was having a full-time job again. And I remember when I got this job, I said to Zach, like, with my anxiety, how will I show up every morning for work? What if I have a panic attack? What if I can't sleep the night before? All these things. And he was like, let's just see how it goes. Let's just see how it goes. And it ended up being so helpful. Our anxiety tells us that we need to create this like free flowing space for it to exist, to not box it in. But I've found with my anxiety, at least, it really likes structure. It likes designated times. It likes me to wake up at the same time, go to sleep at the same time. It likes for me to eat at the same time. It likes for me to have set plans that I have to stick to. Creating these bits of structure in my life has been incredibly, incredibly helpful for my anxiety. Spaciousness. So for me, that looks like sometimes a meditation practice when I love when I can get my meditation practice in, but sometimes it just looks like sitting there and doing nothing. Like I'll sit in the car. Sometimes I'll pull my car up at my house and I'll just sit there for 5 minutes and really just do nothing and create a little bit of that brain space for my brain to unravel. Working out, game changer. I was very late to this game. Oh, did you guys know that like working out was good for you?
We overworked out.
But I didn't work out because it was
side.
good for me mentally. I was like, I need to change my body
a certain way.
Yeah, I was like,
so I
something's
think
wrong
I
with
heard
me.
very early that like abs are made in the kitchen and that diet is 80% of it. So I was like, why are you guys bothering to work out?
Oh my God, I'm
It's only
obsessed.
20% of how your body
I was like
looks.
doing the math. I'm like, I'm going to do a workout and burn 400 calories. I'm going to eat 400 calories today. And that means I'm going to lose weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was like,
Both bad,
Both bad.
not ideal.
Yeah.
But I think when I switched working out to being like, how will I feel for the rest of my day if I do a workout on this day? It was a game changer for me. I've only been a regular worker-outer for the last few years of my life, but having that in the morning has such a huge impact on my mental health, and noticing that immediate reward, because we can't stick to habits unless we have some sort of reward built into that habit immediately. We think the long-term reward is enough, but it's not. Noticing I feel calmer, I sleep better, I have more energy all day has been the thing that's allowed me to motivate myself to actually stick to workout. So I'd say those are my big three.
And I feel like the structure also, showing up for that and abiding to that just builds that trust in yourself, because then it's like you can rely on yourself to do that. I feel like in seasons where I've kind of, quote, let myself down or not done what I said I was going to do, the anxiety is so much higher. Have you always like had in terms of your relationship with yourself, like, has that been something that you've cultivated over the years, or have you always kind of had a sense of self or confidence or trust in yourself from a young age?
You know, when you go to weddings and they're like, love is a verb.
Yes.
Love is an action. I think that self-trust and self-love are actions as well. And I think that self-love and self-trust come from acting in ways that are trustworthy and loving to ourselves. So I've been pretty good over the years, and especially since this anxiety journey and trying to get my life to look back how I want it and feel back how I want it to feel. It's behaving in teeny tiny ways that I can trust that I have done what I said I was going to do. So if I say I'm going to do a workout in the morning, not doing the workout is not only denying myself of the positive benefits of doing the workout, but it's denying myself the opportunity to say that my word to myself is worth something, that I can trust myself. And thus, when I say that I love myself, when I try to tell myself these positive things, those are trustworthy words for myself. I think a lot of us erode our sense of self-trust in teeny tiny ways all day long, whether it's I said I'd stop scrolling and get up off the couch now, but I'm going to just do 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. I said that I was going to start writing that book that's been in my head for years and years and years, but I haven't actually written it yet. Those are all little tiny moments of eroding our sense of self-trust. And I think that hugely impacts our ability to love ourselves.
The tiny actions that you talk about with self-love and self-trust are so powerful, and I love that answer. What other micro habits do you do to support yourself in living and being well?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love that you say micro habits because I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is we make the habits too big and then we can't stick to them and then we don't trust ourselves and then we don't love ourselves and we're like, why? Well, it's like, I'm not going to meditate for an hour a day. If I promise myself I'm going to meditate for an hour a day, I'm setting myself up to let myself down.
It's often self-sabotage when people do that. I noticed that in coaching. They'll put the goal so far out that they know they're not going to hit it to affirm the belief that they can't do it.
So what, do you just have them move the goal down or do you have to work with them on deeper things of why are they self-sabotaging in that way?
Both. Like an example, someone will be like, I hate my job. I want to quit my job. And then they'll be like, I want to open up a coffee shop in my hometown. And it's like that you're like going from here to there. It's like, what would be the micro steps you can take in this moment to like your job more, to communicate more with your boss, maybe you get more time off, maybe plan a vacation. Like, what are the things you can do right now and then have the long-term goal like you're talking about?
This reminds me, I've been thinking so much about the idea of agency. People are feeling really anxious, really unsettled in the world at this moment. I hear it from my listeners all the time. I'm sure you do as well. And I think that a lot of us are feeling a lack of sense of agency. Like things feel really big and really wrong, and we don't feel like we have any control to make the changes that we want to make. And I think a really interesting thing about agency is that research shows that when we take agency, even in little ways in our life, it makes us feel a greater sense of agency. So you don't necessarily need to take agency about these big, scary problems. You can take agency in really tiny ways, and that restores your sense of power, which will alleviate some of that anxiety. So I think looking for these teeny tiny moments of agency is a really powerful way to alleviate the sense of uneasiness that a lot of us are feeling right now.
And to come out of monotony. I think, there's a monotonous nature to things where we think we don't have a choice. I think that's also too, having a sense of agency over your life is the most powerful people that I know believe that they have agency over their life and over themselves and their relationships. And that I would say that across the board of everybody that we've ever interviewed, they believed that they could do the thing. They believed that they could change it. They believed that they were in participation with their life rather than in recipient with their life. So I love the thought of taking greater agency. I'm trying to think of some examples of like, what would you guys recommend for some examples of how people can make smaller steps with agency?
So I think it's like, what is in my control right now? So maybe you can't control what the government is doing about climate change, but is there something that you can do in your community? Is there a cause that you can donate to? Is there a group that you can get together with and talk about next steps? I would say for your relationships, maybe you're like, I want to have a partner and I don't have the agency to manifest this partner or create this partner. I don't know who else is out there in the world, whatever, that part's out of my control. But what is in your control? How you spend every day, the people that you're reaching out to and saying, hey, do you know anybody? Can you set me up with this person? And also just like how you are approaching yourself and the narratives of your life. So I also think the agency doesn't need, those are both examples where the little things correlated with the big thing, but the agency of, I'm going to feed myself a breakfast that makes me feel really good. That is taking agency. I'm going to take a walk around the block. That is taking agency in your life. And that will correlate and make you feel better about the larger things. It's feeling like you have a sense of power and you have a sense of control. And then that you're building those proof points for yourself. I'm huge on proof points. I think that we need to have evidence in our heads that we can look back on. So if you can look at these teeny moments of, I did have power, I did take agency, look how it turned out, then we start to believe it. If you're trying to conjure it from nowhere, it's not believable.
I did want to circle back to the
wellness habits?
Micro habits.
Yeah.
Because I know you have some
I have
ones.
many.
I know you have many.
Okay. Let's see. So I have so many that I'm like, which one should I share? Okay. So I have to start with circ walks. This is a little walk that you take in the morning and it sets your circadian rhythm for the day. So this is just as close to when you wake up and the sun comes up as possible. So if you wake up and the sun's already up, get your butt outside. That's me. I'm a late riser. But if you're up at 6 a.m. and the sun comes up at 7, then at 7 a.m., you want to get your butt outside about 10 to 15 minutes. This is going to be like a multivitamin for your entire body. It's going to give you energy for the day. It's going to help you sleep better. It comes up in pretty much every episode with an expert that I do, whether it's a gut health expert talking about your microbiome or a hormone expert talking about how to help your hormones be in their healthiest state. I literally can't think of happiness experts. Like every single expert is like, get the morning light in your eyes. So you'll have a whole circ walk community of Liz Moody podcast listeners that are going around the block with you. I do that every single morning. And I do it with my husband. We'll take like a little drink on the road. And it's just a very spacious and lovely way to start our day as well. The birds are chirping in the morning. I love that. Something I've been doing recently, I just did an episode about, I've tried all these different happiness hacks, and here are 4 that you might not necessarily think of that actually work. And one of the ones that I really like is what's good here. So our brains are primed sometimes to look for threats in the world. And so when we walk into a room, we're like, okay, that's a little scary. Even if we're not consciously clocking that we're looking for these threats, our brain's trying to protect us. And we can override that and start to get the neural pathways that are wired towards our happiness, towards our positive feelings firing up by walking into a room and being like, okay, what's good here? Like, I really like how spacious this room feels energetically. I really like the way that you guys are smiling at me. I really like the way that it smells. Or if you're eating a meal, you can be like, okay, what's good here? And this food tastes really good. I really like the texture of it. I really like that I'm slowing down and chewing and taking this little moment for myself. And just asking what's good in this moment primes your brain to have a little bit more of that savoring, and neurons that fire together wire together. So you're really priming those brains, the brain cells that you want to fire together to act in that way.
So good. I mean, I think
my favorite game is what this could be better. No joke. Anywhere I go, I'm like, this could be better.
But I think the older that I get, it's like you realize so much of like your experience being well, like starts with the mind and just kind of where it goes, you know, because then that affects the healthy choices you make. And there's just, I thought it was like the opposite where I'm like, let me eat the healthy food to get the healthy mind. And it's like, let's actually.
Well, and I think it's actually bi-directional. And I think that's really interesting. So like if you want a body tip, eat fermented foods. I had a person on the podcast recently, and he's one of the most cited scientists in the world. And he works with cancer patients. And when somebody comes in and they're doing cancer treatment with him, the first thing that he has them do is flood their body with fermented foods because of the way that those ferments act on our immune system. We think of fermented foods as about like our microbiome and whatever. And our microbiome is really important for our gut health, but it's perhaps even more important for our immune health. And our immune health is going to impact the health of your entire body. It fights cancer, all of these different things. And so since that interview, I've been really, really good about just like having a spoonful of some sort of ferment every single day, as just like, if it's good enough for the people that he's working with, it's certainly good enough for me.
My son's favorite food is sauerkraut.
No way.
It's crazy.
That's like such a humble
it makes
brag.
The healthy moms
My
feel
son's
so
favorite food is sauerkraut.
I know.
But my
it's
favorite
crazy.
food was Kraft mac and cheese.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Mine
he
was
eats
chocolate
that,
milk.
you know, he eats like some crappy stuff too, but I'm like,
That's amazing.
That one thing.
No, it's
I'm
amazing.
Like, their guts can be just wrecked from early on.
Well,
so.
and I also I don't get fancy about it. Sometimes people will be like, well, what do you like eat sauerkraut with? I'm like, I don't even think, I just eat it by a spoonful. I eat it out of the jar. I usually get like a carrot ferment because I like those better, but I just eat it out of the jar. I don't think about it that much. It also helps with sugar cravings. So if I'm like sitting there and craving sugar, I'll just have a spoonful of ferment. And then if I'm still craving sugar, I'll eat sugar later, but like it helps quite a bit.
I love that like, what is that? It's salty sweet. It's like
I think there's L-glutamine in the ferment too.
Oh, really?
Like I actually think there's something in it. And then there's also something to do with the microbiome of your oral microbiome that actually, so when you change your microbiome, you change your cravings.
Wow.
Which is another, like if I was going to give you another body-based tip, it's to eat 30 different plants a week. So the greatest study that's ever been done on our gut health found that diversity of plants mattered more than anything else, because essentially like broccoli, the fiber in broccoli is going to feed a different microbe in your gut than the fiber in a flax seed. And so you want to feed all of these different microbes because all these different microbes have different jobs in your body. And so when you're feeding all the different ones, maybe one is not this direct, but like one is going off to work on your skin health, another one's going to work on your heart health. And so you want that diversity. So all of the different jobs are getting done the most efficiently and the best that they can possibly be done. So you want to aim, they found that the magic number was 30 different types of plants on a weekly basis. And that's the single best thing that you can do for your gut health.
Wow. I don't know if I do that.
Yeah, I know. I was
it's faster than you think. So a lot of people,
flaxseed, I'm like, oh, right. That's a plant.
And like beans and oatmeal and stuff like that. So it's not just vegetables or fruits, but it's plants in general. And I would challenge people listening, like pull open the notes app on your phone. Every time you eat a plant, just note it down and see what number you're at.
That's
for
a
the week.
good one.
We also have on our Substack, we have a whole meal plan for getting 30 different plants in the week. So if you just want to, plan
in the
out.
protein shakes too, there's like maca, some other stuff.
And add herbs. That's one of my very favorite
dude, I
tips.
love
So
herbs.
anything that you're eating could probably be improved by herbs. Even if it's like a strawberry oatmeal, like put some rosemary on top, put some basil on top. Like sweet, savory can be improved by herbs, and you're just adding the plants in.
So true. I'm curious, you know, like you, we've learned about so many things in the health and wellness space, tried so many things, et cetera. I guess at what point do you feel like you've built your discernment around what works for you and what doesn't?
Ooh, that's a great question. I feel like different things work for me at different times. So I'm really and I think that about my podcast too. It's like never pressuring you to do all of these different things. It's saying, here's things to put into your toolbox so that when you need to pull them out of your toolbox, you know that they're there. There's going to be a little part of you that is going to be like, oh, wait, I'm going through this like relationship struggle. Oh, yeah, I heard that one thing this one time. And then you can pull that out. Our needs and our goals change so much throughout our lives. And I experience that on a weekly, monthly basis. And so I just feel very lucky to have all of this information so I can pull out what I need when I need it.
Yeah, that's so true. Have you ever tried anything that you're like, that's absolutely not for me, that you're willing to share?
Someone asked us that last week and we were like trying to think.
I know.
What did you say?
They said a spiritual thing.
I think I just said like
Plant medicine.
plant medicine for me was kind of, I think, a one and done. The more extreme, like an ayahuasca. I would do like microdosing, things like that. But yeah.
I just had a psychedelics expert on my podcast, and he said that research shows, I want to say this in the right way, that any benefits people are feeling from microdosing is placebo. And he says that that does not mean that they're not real benefits, but because any scientist will be like, we should respect the placebo effect. It is incredible. Like it shouldn't be dismissed as like, oh, that was just placebo. It's a really important psychological power that our brain has. And even if you know something is placebo, it still works, which is fascinating as well. You can tell somebody this is a sugar pill and it will still have the same impact. But research at this moment shows that the effects are due to a placebo effect versus anything else for microdosing.
Interesting.
Which is interesting.
If it has the effect, how do they know
How do
that?
they know? I think they're probably looking, my guess would be through some sort of fMRI.
Okay.
And because you can see physiological effects for heroes doses.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I would say, so for me, I feel like I used up drugs in my party days and now I can't enjoy them in my therapeutic days. And I really believe this whole episode is like, he talks about his experiences with different things. He talks about all the phenomenal research on these things. And I really like, maybe I'll get to a point where I can try them, but I had a mushroom trip where I thought the world was ending and I had to have a friend come and keep me from like harming myself. And I've had so many bad experiences that I feel like I can't benefit now that things are like good and helpful.
Totally.
Which is frustrating for me.
I think I've had 2 mushrooms where I was like saying goodbye to everyone.
Yeah, that's it.
I was like, nice knowing you.
I just like, I looked out the window and it literally looked like if you were like in an apocalypse movie where like things were like steaming and it's in Venice. So it was like nice out the window in reality. But like if my friend hadn't been there, I don't know what I would have done. And that's scary. And also when you go into a trip with like that kind of stuff in your head, it's not as ideal.
Yeah, the research it's cool that there is a lot more research about psychedelics and things like that. We've experimented, we've done microdosing and stuff, which was really helpful. And then it kind of reaches a point where I think like a lot of things where or I guess in my journey, I kind of use things for the time period that I need them. I'll be into something and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to kind of move on. Like you kind of graduate, you get what you need, you put it in the toolkit and you kind of move on. What are some unsexy wellness products that you love? Like what are some of the things that you really use and love?
Floss.
I need to floss more. That's my toxic trait.
Flossing, I mean, when you realize that flossing is probably the single best preventative action you can take on a daily basis for Alzheimer's, I think that it really sticks it in your head as something that's worth doing. So our oral health is really intricately connected with our brain health and our heart health too. And so brushing is great, but it's almost more surface level versus flossing. You don't want to build up those plaque colonies and have the bacteria migrate in your body. And it's been pretty strongly linked to Alzheimer's at this point. So,
wow, I'm going to do that.
Are you using regular floss? Like I use like because I've seen the little machine flosses where they're like
the picks.
Yeah. So I had a dentist on my podcast. We talked all about this stuff, and he said like however you can get yourself to floss. You know what I mean? So like if it's a water pick, if it's the little pick things, I just use, I use the Risewell hydroxyapatite floss because hydroxyapatite, are you guys on the hydroxy?
Yes.
Okay. It's amazing. It's a fluoride alternative and it actually remineralizes your teeth. I anecdotally, N of one, but since I started using hydroxyapatite toothpaste, I went from being like a 9 cavity a dentist visit girly to a 0 cavity a dentist visit girly.
Oh, I can't
And
wait.
I have no toothpaste or toothbrush sponsors. And I love them, but like it has changed my teeth completely. And so I use a floss that has that in it too, which is from a brand called Risewell.
Okay.
Love it.
I'm going to get on that. So flossing is.
Yeah, other unsexy. I'm trying to think unsexy. I like sleep stuff. I think is huge. If you're gonna,
What do you take to support your sleep?
so I don't take anything. I'll take magnesium if I'm having like sleep issues. The Cirque walk in the morning is probably the single best way that you can help your sleep. But also paying attention to like, is my room cold? You want to be like 64 to 67 degrees, so colder than you would think. You want it to be completely dark. So I have a blackout eye mask from I think a brand called Drowsy that's like a silk eye mask that I absolutely love. But blackout curtains, blackout eye mask. I have a weighted blanket that I really like. Optimizing your environment for sleep, I think, is incredibly important. If you're going to spend money on one thing, I would say spend money on sleep.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that fees are everywhere lately? Like you book a weekend rental and you have a cleaning fee. Buy concert tickets, there's a processing fee no one can explain. Even ordering delivery comes with a service charge. It's like we're getting nickel and dime just for living life. It's very annoying. And those fees feel especially frustrating when money's tight. That's why I love Chime. So with Chime, there are no monthly fees, no overdraft fees, and no minimum balance fees. It's basically banking that doesn't punish you for being a human trying to get ahead. Personally, I've had times where I was trying to stick to a budget and surprise bank fees totally threw me off. Chime gives me peace of mind. I know what's coming in, what's going out, and I'm not getting charged for just using my money. Banking shouldn't cost you money. And with Chime, it doesn't. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/almost30. That's chime.com/almost30.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs. Bank ranking and number of ATMs according to U.S. News and World Report 2023. Chime checking account required.
Okay, I've always been someone who loves the idea of adventure. Like, give me a new trail to run or a random side street to wander down, and I'm totally in. But as a mom, I've also realized the real adventure is just getting out the door with enough energy to keep up with the day. And that's where having a go-to nourishing routine honestly has saved me. Enter Kachava, aka my not-so-secret weapon. It's a whole body meal shake that somehow manages to be packed with 85 plus superfoods and still tastes really good. I'm a chocolate girl though through and through, but sometimes I'll do the vanilla with almond milk or frozen banana and a little cinnamon, and it's like a fancy smoothie from a cafe without the $16 price tag, if you know what I mean. But what sold me, it's not just protein. Though it has 25 grams of clean plant-based protein, it's also got fiber, adaptogens like maca, superfoods like sacha inchi, and even ingredients like goji berry and chia that I used to buy separately and never use, let's be honest. So I'm so happy they're in there. They're just all mixed in. I usually whip my own up with a quick breakfast or post-workout shake, and it actually fills me up without that weird powdery aftertaste I've had with other drinks. And I know you know what I mean. I feel focused, satisfied, and like I actually gave my body something it wants to say thank you for. So if you're playing curious but not fully vegan, no worries. Kachava is for everyone. Plus, they've got a love it guarantee, so it's risk-free to try. But I have a feeling you're going to get hooked. Fuel your day with Kachava. Go to kachava.com and use code almost30 for 15% off your next order. That's KACHAVA.com, code almost30 for 15% off.
I think that's been, it's funny, it's just so funny in life as you get older and you become more conscious. I think you become so much more particular about your environment and what you're around and what you allow. Growing up where I grew up in the way that I did, we would never have an opinion about stuff. You'd go to a hotel or you'd go places and you'd just be kind of like, this is what it is. That it is. But you would never be able to be like, we're going to call the front desk and ask them to turn it down. Or we're going to ask to move to a different room or it's the agency thing. And the more successful that I've gotten and the more successful people I've been around, they just have such agency. They have such preference. People that I know that are the most successful have such deep, detailed preference of ooh, I really don't like this texture of this thing. It's it's just having the ability to control or be a part of the experience. And I think sleep is such an interesting one because I didn't really know how to be a good sleeper until I got older. And then I'm like, oh, now I know all these things that just change the game for your sleep.
Yeah. Well, and even knowing, I think we talked about this when you guys were on my podcast, but knowing who you are and what you want, like it's such a self-knowing to even have those preferences in the first
it's
place,
so true.
which is such an important part of growing up.
Yeah. I want to talk about the phone.
The phone.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
I mean, I love all your content, but the one with the phone down thing.
The face down phone theory.
Can you tell us?
Yeah. So face down phone theory is basically very unfortunate research that shows that even if your phone is face down on the table, you're going to be less present in the conversation. You're going to remember it as less of a positive interaction, and you're going to feel less connected to the people that you're with. So we think, oh, okay, I'll turn my phone, like I'll put it face down and then I'll have a great conversation. But there's this thing called attention residue, which is basically our attention sticks to the thing it was on before. And so since it was on the phone before, there's a teeny part of your attention that's like stuck to that phone that you're having to forcibly pull back. And it takes about 23 minutes to transfer that attention.
Oh, wow.
So that's 23 minutes that you're distracted in that conversation. And that's assuming you don't pick up the phone again. And then on top of that, there's the willpower of these phones are designed to be so addictive. And you're using your willpower at every single moment to not pick up your phone. And that's, again, energy and attention you're not putting on the conversation. There are so many reasons I think that we're feeling disconnected from each other and lonely and sad as a result of that. And I think that the stickiness of our phones is a big contributing factor.
Yeah, I think it's a huge factor in lowering the quality of our time spent with people. You know, it's like, why do I feel like just not amazing when I leave, you know, a certain person or a group of people? And then I think about who was on their phone. And
there's
often they
nothing
were
worse.
on their
I like have
phone.
been out with friends where you're like talking at dinner and they pull their phone out,
crazy.
and it's almost like in it, like they don't even realize
not
they're doing
conscious
it,
still.
and they start scrolling. And I'm just like, am I the most boring person on the
Oh my
planet?
God. The way I would start doing tricks, I'd be like, there's something wrong about me. I got to make them have fun.
100%.
What I don't know if you feel this way, but I think what's interesting in our space, people who have a platform on social media, I'm out with my friends and I'm like the one person that does not want to be on my phone.
Same.
I actually don't take any pictures, and I'm kind of like at the end of the night, I'm like, shit, I don't
My
have any
friend and I were
pictures.
I was out with my friend last night who also has like a platform, and we went to the farmer's market, and then we went home, and then she texted me later and she's like, should we have like taken a photo of ourselves at the farmer's market? And I was like, like it's almost like phone is work, I think.
Totally.
But I still have that addiction to my phone.
Yeah.
What I found helpful, because it's not that helpful to sit around with your friends and be like, I've noticed you're on your phone right now. Would you mind putting your phone away and focusing on me? Is building in activities where you cannot be on your phone.
Yeah.
So like hikes with friends, game nights, like yoga classes. I think that we are so addicted, and acknowledging that addiction, and instead of trying to fight against it, being like, what are the inherent, like going, if you do a weekend away, can you go somewhere that like doesn't have Wi-Fi and is like, doesn't have great service, and building in that required presence versus like relying on our willpower, which we don't have that much of it. We don't have enough willpower. If I had one message I have many messages for people, but if I had one message around phones, is that we don't have enough willpower to fight the level of addiction that they're designed to be. And when we rely on that, we're only hurting ourselves.
I'll hide my phone.
You should.
Because then I'll forget about it. I forget about it probably like 5 to 10 minutes in, where I'm like, oh. Like you just realize.
And then you feel like a different person.
I'm a different person. I'm more productive. I'm more creative. I'm more present. Like it's just wild. So I'll just put it in a drawer and forget about it.
I'm working on an episode right now about like 4 things that I've done to lower my screen time that have actually worked. And one of them is letting my phone completely die, because when you put it on airplane mode, it is so easy. We think that we're making it harder, and we want to make the habits that we want to have easier and the habits that we don't want to have harder. That's like the number one rule of habits. We think airplane mode is enough, but it takes you 2 seconds and you have that muscle memory of like toggling it on and off. So I'll let it die completely, especially at nighttime when I really don't want to be on my phone, and in the morning when I really like, I won't plug it in or anything. And I still have the muscle memory. I'm still reaching for it, but I can't turn on. It's like, so actually preventing it for yourself, I think, is incredibly important.
So important.
Have you ever had Cal Newport on?
Yes.
Yeah, he's
I
amazing.
love him.
That was deep work. And then I think what was his first book called?
There's deep work, and then the recent one was like the product. It was like a different type of productivity, slow productivity.
He is amazing. We had him on the show years ago, and so anyone listening, you can listen to ours or listen to yours. But I will never forget the residue thing, because there is such a residue. And you and I were talking about it this morning. You know, with our book launch process, I've had to be online so much more. We've had to be online so much more, and I just am really noticing it affect my mental health. You know, I really am like. I think for me, I'm such an imaginative, creative person that sometimes I'll just get caught up on someone's life, and it'll be like a residue in my mind where I'm thinking about someone I don't even know in their life. And I'm thinking about some reel or some TikTok or something. Like I was telling you, like Cody Sanchez posted about her husband, how they just met and I was like, thinking about them. I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know, like, and I'm like, I don't know this person. My energy should not be spent this way. But we have this stickiness of situations and people and things that I think we need to be more mindful of than we are. Like, I noticed that for myself. I'm like, I don't feel good when I'm in that.
Well, and I think we also need to acknowledge that everything about our phone is designed to be easier. So when you're hanging out with real people and having to make real conversational effort, it's gonna feel harder. And I think those are the moments where sometimes people will be like, oh, I want to reach for my phone because it's just, it's a little easier. It's a little bit safer. Yeah. And being prepared for it to feel a little harder, a little less comfortable, and knowing that will only dissipate by going through it, I think is really helpful for me when I want to avoid that discomfort.
I think too, that's where ChatGPT has been interesting, because so many people are using ChatGPT in replacement of therapists, of, you know, coaches, of
their own writing,
anything. And the hardest part about conversation is not only the language and the words. So it's helpful that ChatGPT provides that, but it's the nervous system regulation. It's really being a body to body, having the conversation. So people are getting kind of the tools and stuff through chat. That's helpful. But like, what's hardest about having a hard conversation is how your body reacts and feels. So there's so much that's happening as far as like how technology is sort of changing how we're relating and conversing with people, and how we're connecting.
Well, my fear around ChatGPT with therapy, although interestingly, I asked ChatGPT what jobs were safest from ChatGPT or from AI in general, and it put therapy on the list, which I don't know. A lot of people are using it for therapy, but I come from a family of therapists. Both my parents are therapists. Both my husband's parents are therapists, and my sisters are therapists.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're deep in it. And my fear around it is that I think people don't even realize the extent to which these algorithms are programmed to tell you what you want to hear. So they want to agree with you. That is just, they are designed to, if you are asking for something, they're designed to give you the thing you are asking for. Even Google is like that. So if you search, are strawberries healthy? It will give you every article about strawberries being healthy. If you search, are strawberries unhealthy? It'll give you every article about strawberries being unhealthy. And when you start to unpack that, it's very easy to see how we can live in these really different worlds in terms of the information that we're getting. But ChatGPT as a therapist, a good therapist is creating a safe space to push you beyond the boundaries of what is comfortable, to make you question things in your life. And ChatGPT is not going to do that. ChatGPT is going to tell you exactly what is most comfortable and what you most want to hear, which may not and often is not the thing that's going to benefit your life the most in the long run.
I'll be like, sometimes chat will tell me something, I'm like, that's so crazy, dog. And it's like, haha, I know, here's another answer. Like, you know, this is so funny. This is such a random side story. I'm in a group chat with some of my friends, and she has a Ring camera, and the Ring camera keeps picking up these weird things. They're like these spirits or ghosts. We're like, we swear this is a ghost. So I uploaded the video to chat, and I was like, what do you see, chat? And chat was like, whoa, that looks like a man, looks like a figure, like, and was going on. And I'm like, can you like superimpose it to make it, to fill out what it would be? And then chat gave me this picture of this like full man in a cowboy hat, like sitting there. And I was like, chat, that's fucking crazy. It's like, I know, I gave you a scary movie. I was like, dude, no. I was like, tone it down a little bit. And then it kept giving me different options. It's like, what do you want? Like,
What do you want from me?
Yeah, what do you want from me? But like, yeah.
But a therapist, to that point, ChatGPT is saying, what do you want from me and how can I get it to you? A therapist is going to say, what do you need from me and how can I get it to you? And that's so different.
And the attunement. I mean, I think, you know, I've been reading about therapeutic relationships recently, just being in the coaching space, there's an aspect of it that's therapeutic, but it's not therapy, but there's an aspect. And in therapeutic relationships, the most important thing is the attunement. And so getting attuned to someone and building that trust over time. And that is like the energetic, you have your like the brain entrainment, your energy entrainment, and that's regulation within your system. And that's almost like having them push you and continuing to meet them. So there are aspects, especially if you've had a good therapist, where it's just not even close. Like, to what, ChatGPT will do. How do you see ChatGPT changing our industry or health and wellness?
I think that we're going to be able to get personalized medical advice pretty soon. I had a doctor named Eric Topo on the podcast recently, and he is a longevity expert. And then the whole episode's about like, what does the future of longevity look like? And he thinks within a year, we're going to be able to get very personalized information about like cancer prevention and cardiovascular health and all of that from AI, maybe not ChatGPT, but AI in general. So I think what people are going to be looking for in our space is personal experiences, personal stories, vulnerable connections, rather than the like spitfire facts and information.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's actually interesting because that's a different texture than sort of what we've came. Because it's like we've kind of started with vulnerable shares and human, and then it became TikTok-y. And it was like 4 hacks, like it became that sort of formulaic. And then I think with AI, it's going to become even more formulaic. So the texture of human is going to be even more important.
It's going to be more valuable.
Of share, yeah.
And people are looking for connection. I was just talking to my girlfriend who's going through a really hard time right now. And she's like, I've always loved your podcast. I've always appreciated podcasts in general. Right now, I have a whole different level of appreciation for them, because if I could not put these headphones on my ear and get to hear these conversations and get out of my head in this moment, I do not know what I would do. And I think having that podcast to me are so connecting versus other forms of other mediums. I think that I feel so connected with my podcast listeners. I feel very connected to the podcast that I listen to. And I think that people are going to be seeking out that real feeling of human connection more and more and more.
I agree.
100%.
When we were on your show, we talked about friendship, and I was like kind of chomping at the bit to ask you about like your friendships and your relationships and how they've changed as you have, really stepped into your purpose here in this really beautiful, successful career and brand. And I know sometimes that causes relationships to change. How have you navigated that, if that's happened?
So a few different things have happened. One, I have less friendships, but I have better friendships. I had a friendships expert on my podcast who said that we really can only have like 4 or 5 deep, deep friendships. And I found that, and you can have more people kind of in the outside circle. And I think that's great. But I found that so permission giving to be like, oh, I don't need this whole girl group that I'm like seeing on Instagram. I can have a few great friendships. And that's actually all my brain can really process and handle. And that was very, very helpful for me. In terms of the success, my favorite part of the success that I've had is it's exposed me to all of these women who are older than me, who are doing phenomenal things with their lives. And I've gotten to cultivate relationships with them. And that's been so satisfying for me. There's research from a woman named Dr. Becca Levy at Yale, and it shows that we can add 7.5 literal years to our life if we have positive aging beliefs. So if you think that aging is a good thing, you literally will live 7.5 years longer, which is a lot. And the best way that we can have positive aging beliefs is to have positive aging role models. And through the podcast, I've been exposed to these authors and professors and women starting businesses in their 50s and 60s and having life transformations. And that has just, it's been like a real life wiser than me type of situation. And it's been so heartening and really changed my perspective on aging.
Life is long.
Life is long. Yeah. I think I'm a person who puts a lot of pressure on like, got to do it all right now.
Yes.
And it's been really helpful for me to see all the different amazing chapters that these women are getting to have.
It's interesting how we like place a prime. We're like, oh, 30s are our prime, or 20s are our prime, or 40, you know what I mean? Like
Where I'm from, they said college was your prime.
That is horrifying. Your frontal, like if you think your prime is before your frontal lobe is developed, that's just like
it's crazy.
That's not your prime, I promise.
You're probably like saying that when your frontal lobe is
I don't know if the frontal lobe ever came in. It's still not.
This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack sponsor. IQ Bar is the better for you plant protein-based snacks made with brain-boosting nutrients to refuel, nourish, and satisfy hunger without the sugar crash. I brought a bunch of IQ bars with me the other day. I had a busy day. I had a few interviews, I had an event, and I just knew that I needed to make sure I was nourishing myself with food that I knew the ingredients were clean, were good for me, were great for my brain and my body, would satiate me, and were yummy. So I ended up having 2 IQ bars that day. I had one mid-morning and then mid-afternoon. It was just a great interim snack. So these are plant protein bars. I like getting my protein in any way that I can. High quality ingredients, like I mentioned, and it's totally free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMO, and artificial sweeteners. And they come in 9 delicious flavors. My favorite is the banana nut, always and forever, but they have flavors like chocolate chip and chocolate sea salt, toasted coconut chip, lemon blueberry, peanut butter chip. They do it right. They're so delicious, so chewy. You're going to love the texture. If you don't believe me, there's over 25,000 5-star reviews and counting. So just know that. They also have hydration mixes and mushroom coffees in addition to their brain and body boosting bars. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, text ALMOST, ALMOST, to 64,000. Text ALMOST to 64000. That's ALMOST to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details.
Just on the topic of relationships, can you talk to us about the match theory?
So match theory is the idea that in life, we're not looking to impress people. We're looking to find our authentic matches. So if you're going out on a date and you're dressing in a way that you wouldn't normally dress and you're trying to impress them, you're trying to get to that second date, even if you get to that second date, that third date, that fourth date, at best, if you're not being your authentic self, you have locked yourself into a life of performing, which isn't what we want. You can apply this to work. You can apply this to friendships. The faster that you are your authentic self, the faster that you will find your matches in life. And so you can apply this really pragmatically. Like something I love to do is say, go on vacation with people as quickly as possible. Like you've been dating for a week, go on vacation with them. You've been friends with somebody like for a week, go on vacation with them, because vacations give us so many opportunities for authentic selves to come out, whether we like it or not. Traveling with somebody just makes that happen. And then if it's not a match, that's such great information to have. And you can spend your time finding people who are a match.
So true. I love that. I think that's been a beautiful part of dating post-divorce, is like checking myself mid-date or after date. Like, was I myself? Like when was I performing? When was I like energy matching? Like sometimes I'll be on dates and I'm like, you know what? This is boring. Let's just turn it up. And I'm like, I'm never going to see them again. And I'll just like perform. I'm like, okay.
I imagine it also makes me think that it could be a cool opportunity. We're always feeling into who am I in this moment. I don't think the idea of self is a defined concept, and I don't think that it's a permanent concept. I think it's always shifting and evolving. And I think dating and friendships and all these things also, you can try on these different things. And if it fits, that's really cool information to have about yourself. Like maybe I like when I'm a little bit more boisterous. Maybe I like when I'm a little bit more quiet. You can try on these different elements and get that information.
And I think certain relationships bring that out in you, where you're like, oh, this person's goofy. I want to be my goofy part of me. You know, like where some friends you might not feel that. So I like archetype work with a lot of the women that I work with, because it's like if you play with archetypes, you can have the experience of playing into what it feels like to be like the vixen or the lover or the queen or the mother or the maiden. And you can still be self, but you're in conscious choice to see what it feels like to step into this other role.
Ooh,
so when I'm
that.
like dating, like I'll be like, oh, I'm in like my lover archetype, where I'm just like, I'm super sensual and playful and sexy and all these things. And I'm being me, but it's this like texture of me that like I get to turn on, you know, at work, it's like the queen or the huntress. And it's a fun way to play into things, but still have that sense of self where you're not doing it for someone else.
We contain multitudes.
Yes. Yeah. And how do you handle that? Like a lot of women listening feel like they are multitudes, feel like they are so many things, feel like they have to box themselves in or they have to niche down. How do you give yourself permission to be in multitudes?
I think it's the diversification of our lives. I think sometimes when we feel like we have to be boxed in, it's because we are only letting ourselves be one thing. Like we our priority is just work. And I am this worker. I am like, I think at parties often they're like, what do you do? And you identify yourself as that. You're like, well, I'm a engineer. I am a podcast host. You're not. You are a person who does engineering. You are a person who hosts a podcast. It is one aspect of your personality. And I think that diversification can be really helpful for that. And that can happen very pragmatically. Like, what other things are you leaning into in your life? Maybe you are a mother right now. And what else? Like, and you are a reader, and you are a sexy person in bed. Like, you can be all these different things, and providing the opportunities for those different sides of yourself to come out and to have space, I think is really important.
Something that I've just really respected you exploring so publicly on your show and on your platform is just the question of, do I want to become a mother?
I knew we were going to talk about my uterus when you said it. It's something I'm so happy because I'm like, oh, here's my uterus.
I just think it's like, it's a really
Why uterus? Sorry.
Just because that's where the baby would go.
Oh. I'm like, we're talking about being a mother. You're like, my uterus.
So now I have like quite famous women on my show, and they'll be like, here's when I think you should get pregnant. And so they're just like, oh, like I have a lot of people weighing in on the state of my uterus at any given moment. Yeah.
How does that feel?
I feel like it's all in good fun, and I have made the conversation public. And so it's kind of like, I think the good that is being done out of me very publicly grappling with whether I'm interested in this. This is what I want to create space for, is so many people are like, if it's even a maybe, it's a no. And what they mean by that, if it's not 100% yes, it's a no. And they'll say that about motherhood all the time. And what they mean by that is motherhood is really, really hard, and you should be prepared for how hard it is. But what it doesn't allow for is, like, I debate what restaurant I'm going to go to. I'll debate what restaurant I'm going to go to for dinner for 20 minutes. I'm going to certainly debate whether I'm going to bring a human being into the world and have that human being into the world for the rest of my life. And I don't want to have to feel shame about having it not be 100%. I know what this decision should be. So if people weighing in on my uterus is the side effect of me saying, you don't need to know, and that's okay. I did an episode with therapist who works with helping couples decide whether or not they should have kids, or whether or not they want to have kids. And she said that 60-40 is a really good place to land. It doesn't need to be 100%. If you 60% feel one way, like, that's pretty excellent in terms of her experience.
What have you discovered just about how you feel right now, and maybe discovered between you and your husband?
We want to have a kid. So we made that thank you. We made that decision maybe 6 months ago, a year ago. And that also came out in some ways from this episode where she said having one child can be a really nice thing for fence sitters, we're called, to do, because it gives you some of the experience, but without as much of the life changes as having 2 or 3 or more. And it's been really interesting. Like, I think my whole thing is that life should be lived intentionally, at least for me. It's very important to me to live my life intentionally, whether that's the relationships that I have, whether it's the job that I do, whether it's just moment to moment how I'm living. And so what I've loved about this process is it's allowed me to bring even more intentionality into, what do I want the next 5 years of my life to look like? What would we be like as parents? Intentionality into my relationship. It's created this whole new avenue for that intentionality that I've been really grateful for.
I love that conscious choosing of things. Like, I think that's so powerful. And I think that's what so often people will step into things. And I was even talking about this with marriage the other day. And they'll be like, we're getting married. And it's like, what does that mean? What does marriage mean to you?
I had a cheating expert on the podcast, and she said one of the biggest mistakes that married people make, or people in long-term relationships make, is they don't define what cheating means. And so they don't even know what that means. And I do think all these things are like, the definitions matter, and they're going to be different for you than they are for anybody else. So I love the idea of zooming out. What does marriage mean?
What does marriage mean? What does partnership mean? What does union mean? I think cheating is a really good one. I have that with, I've had that before in some of the work that I do with the women. It's like, men have a different idea of what cheating is. Like,
and person to person.
For me,
and like,
cheating is having eyes. It's
you have to like set what you are violating, set the terms of what's happening for it to be violated, and for both people to know that it's been violated.
Yeah. I love that.
So good. This has been so fun. I'm so thankful. What are you excited about right now? I feel like, I don't know about you, but being an entrepreneur and just having a platform like this, there's like kind of always the question of like, what's next, or what are you excited about? But I guess right now in this moment, what excites you?
So I I've had to reel myself in from being like, okay, what's my next book going to be? Do I need a product line? Did you see there's a Miley Cyrus interview recently where her stepdad, I think, was like, hey, girl, why don't you have a makeup line? And she's like, because I don't know anything about makeup. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
saw
singer.
that.
I'm a musician.
Love
This is what I
that.
do really well. And I actually feel like I'm in that era for myself right now. I'm a podcast host. This is what I do really well. Every single time I finish a podcast, I'm like, this is what I was put on the planet to do. This is what I'm best at. This is what I get the most joy from. This is what I feel like flow state from. And so I've kind of zoomed back into my podcast and just been like, I feel so grateful. I get to do 2 episodes a week.
Amazing.
And I don't need other stuff right now. I need that.
And I love like loving where you are.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just like,
Yeah, it's like capitalism that pushes us not to.
100%.
Exactly.
I think it's also people's inability to like think of anything interesting or new, where they're like, what's next? You know what I mean? It's like kind of like,
Like it's a reflection of the
Yeah.
person asking.
yeah, it's just kind of like not a lot of like tools to understand, you know, what are other creative questions. But yeah, I love that also too. It's like leaving room for surprise, being where you're at, like loving what you do is like so beautiful. What would be 2 episodes that you'd suggest our audience to listen to?
Well,
from your pod?
definitely you should come listen to the one with Lindsay and Krista.
yes,
because I
that's
assume that the people listening to this
Yes.
like you guys.
Yeah.
And so I listened to that one. And then I would say the happiness hacks episode that I listened to, it's a solo episode. So on Mondays, we have 20 to 30 minute episodes. They're bite-sized. They're just a really fun way to kick off your week. And that one is, I've tried all the happiness hacks in the world. I've heard from all these happiness experts, and here are the 4 that actually work.
Amazing.
So good. This has been
you.
amazing.
I
I'm
know.
so glad. We had a
Finally,
whole
we made
afternoon
it
together.
happen.
Yay.
It's such a joy. I know you guys love Liz already, but just make sure to listen to the show and then our podcast on the show for sure to start. And we will see you on the next one. We love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Liz. Again, that's Liz Moody on Almost 30.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If this episode or any other episode really resonated with you, I bet it would resonate with a friend or maybe a family member. And it's always a great way to just start a conversation. So please share it. It means the world to us. It's how we've grown. And be sure to subscribe to us everywhere you listen to podcasts as well as on YouTube.
We love you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.